Ladies and gentlemen, another episode of Leches Radio. It's yours truly, Radimus. Gentlemen, let them know who the rest of Leches is.
You know what it is. Ring Baddicks of the God. What up, what up?
Hey, B-Stacks in the building once again.
AKA Lauren Hill of the gang.
Yeah, I was late. I was late.
we sorry, Lauren. We love you.
Publishing.
I know, right? Yeah. So yeah,
manager.
So welcome back. We appreciate all of y'all that have been tuning in the past 6, now up to episode 7. I already told the gang once we reach 10, I'm going to stop counting how many episodes in we are. So we appreciate you guys tuning in right now on the Facebook Live. As always, after this, will be available on YouTube for anybody catching it later. I know Faith out in Colorado listens to this on the drive-in the next day. So we appreciate y'all. And you know what? Shout out to Lauren. Lauren with the Facebook post, she always shows us love, promotes us. We don't even ask, and she willingly does it. That's the homie for life right there, Elma.
Oh yeah, and her sister Tanya posted up on her page.
And Tanya, that Matos family. I love the Matos family. And you know what? While we're showing love to women, Brandon, ain't that kind of like the theme of what we're doing today?
Oh, it's ladies' night.
Oh,
it's ladies' night.
Ladies first.
Hey, real quick, I got to give a shout out to my man Larry, aka the Party Rocker. He's watching us live right now. While we giving shout outs and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's the comrade. But yeah, this is overdue. You know what I mean? Tonight we celebrating 40 years of female power in hip hop. Man, real excited about this episode, guys. So
definitely.
Yeah. Without further ado, I feel like we should swing into this. If this was a Marvel movie, right? If you were, tracking us, this could really be episode 2 connected to Tretch, because this episode connects directly to Tretch, being that Queen Latifah, was the nucleus to Tretch's career.
That's right.
So I think a good place to begin, man, there's so much to cover, there's so much to do. And I think a good place to start is 1989. So that spawned the Ladies First movement, which was the native tongue. Queen Latifah was a component in a native tongue and had her own flavor unit. Brought Moni Love in with Miss Melody from BDP. And that was just speaking to everybody out there, that was the first time. There was female rappers before that. There was B-girls. It was female DJs, all that stuff. But
Roxanne.
The ladies, Roxanne Shante, battle rapper. But that was the first time where we saw okay, this is like a title now. The ladies actually have a title. And 1989 really started the movement and the trend of the acceptance and ladies being brought to the forefront on another level. So what I wanted to do with the fellas here, we're going to go backwards and then go forwards. So I want to just throw this out to you guys. Who were your, so we're going to begin with the 80s here. Who were just some of the staple artists that you feel that were prominent in the 80s?
So go ahead, Renz.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, because I got to actually turn a light on. So go ahead.
All right, cool. We good. Obviously, we were mentioning, I think that all this kind of starts with Roxanne kind of spearheading it. We remember, you had the Roxanne song, and then you had her rebuttal, Roxanne's Revenge. So that was kind of first time we started hearing more females in an MCing standpoint, as you're mentioning. But obviously, if we're talking about some of the cornerstones as well, MC Lyte, obviously, Light of the Rock album, Queen Latifah. Now, the one thing I did want to mention as well, because I mentioned about Ladies First, that was to me, and I rewatched the video yesterday. That was a real monumental video to me, because not only was it showing women, saying we belong here in the genre, but showing the video itself was showing them in strong roles and strong positions. Because I looked at it almost like you got Queen Latifah, flavor unit, native tongues. I'm looking at Lady Mechabug with Digital Planets. We're looking at Roxanne being a cornerstone of Juice Crew. And even Big Guy Kane said, we don't have our position if it wasn't for what she did. When we look at the Black Panthers, the majority the stronghold was mostly women. So the video to me was showing that we were still cornerstone even in a male dominant genre. You know what I mean? So I mean that was to me very monumental within itself. But as far as the cornerstones, definitely the usual stuff is Queen Latifah, obviously Moni Love. At the time, Roxanne and MC Light. As far as the '80s go.
And Ray, I'll spawn that to you if you have any thoughts on the ladies first movement and the '80s as a whole.
Yeah, no, to add to that, I mean, the ladies first movement, what I also liked about that is, number one, New Jersey representative right here. So you got Queen Latifah. She's like one of the early female acts to really get on and actually move units too, right? So like Queen Latifah, I feel, she's a household name now, but she was one of the first pioneers of the female rap. When you look at that song, what's interesting about her featuring Moni Love is Moni Love, I think, is a teenager at that time in that video. Mm-hmm. And Moni Love is from the United Kingdom. She's from England. So it's kind of like how, we're used to like on a mainstream level, Slick Rick as the UK guy for the men. But you got Moni Love now, who is, young, new, on this track with an established Queen Latifah, and she's hanging in there. She's killing it. She's flowing her ass off. But the both of them complemented each other. Renzo, you're right. They had the imagery in the video of powerful positions. They show Queen Latifah moving those giant chess pieces. That was a song. I'll be honest. I know that at the time it came out, I mean, I don't know how old I was, so I don't recall seeing it then. I saw it like years later.
That's a fact, yeah.
So I mean, that song, and I believe that song is in it was inducted into something. I don't know that it's Library of Congress, but I know it was inducted into something. But and to kind of take it back a step, even before Queen Latifah, I didn't know this until yesterday that the first female credited as having been recorded, right? There was always, like you said, B-girls and female rappers and stuff, but the first female on wax, as they say, is credited as MC Shyrock, and she was part of she's part of Funky 4+1. So, I'm just throwing that out there right now because I didn't know that personally until yesterday. So for people watching right now, as far as like where it's credited, so where female, the female presence begins, it's there. And then when it goes forward, we get up to the Queen Latifah and Moni Love ladies first joint.
Oh yeah, and Salt and Pepper too. To mention
I remember when I was little.
Yeah,
monsters. Oh yeah. They were monsters. For me, man, in '89, right? Like mathematically, I'm only 5 years old, but so obviously I had to like go back. You know what I mean? And as Ray's taking his long pull of his jersey 040 over there.
It's Colt 44. It's not quite 45, but.
That was like, Native Tongue was basically the stuff that I was listening to, the fathers of what I was listening to, you know what I mean? And that movement kind of like beelined exactly like the stuff that I ended up loving. So that ladies first movement, I got to pay homage to that because like without that, like, you guys said it, you literally don't have other rappers. Like you don't have a Lauren, without that. You don't have, even further down, you don't got a Missy or a Rhapsody, without that type of movement.
Definitely.
And
especially Lauren, man.
But we got a lot. Yeah. Especially Lauren. We got a lot of ground to cover, man. We got 40 years to cover. So how we're going to do it here for the listeners is we are going to bracket each decade, and we are going to name an artist of the decade. So we're going to begin with the 80s here. And I'm going to tell y'all, man, this was very tough. This was very difficult, but like fun at the same time. But whoever wants to go first on this one, man, who would you select as your artist, your female artist of the decade?
Yeah, so I think for me, this was difficult. Before I preface my answer, what I noticed with the 80s, and I don't know if you guys noticed it wasn't until you get really into the late 80s where female catalogs start to actually begin. Like that, like when I, like personally, like, I know that there was like features and stuff within the early 80s, but I found that it wasn't until I got to the late 80s that, I saw the beginnings of legacies that we still talk about today. So my choice is a little bit, you know what? I'm going to not go obvious here. I'm actually going to switch my answer right now. I'm going to go with the name I just said for a reason other than what you guys may have reasons for. So MC Shyrock, I'm going to go with her because as far as female MCs goes, it begins with her. I was going to go another answer that I know for a fact one of you will pick because how can you not say her? But when it comes to Shyrock, the fact that she held herself down within the Funky 4+1 and it starts with her, that's my way in our episode of showing homage to the true beginning. So I'm going to go with MC Shyrock. And for a lot of people who, like, I think a lot of people listening are going to be like, who? Google it, because the same, like, we're always learning. And if you can learn something from us, that's my contribution to the 80s. MC Shyrock, we salute you.
I just gave you a high five. There you go. Wait, Zoom high five.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah, I'm looking at that.
I'm afraid I'm going to hit the wrong button and we get Teddy'd again. So I'm just going to thumbs up from over here. So, but yeah, I'm going MC Shyrock.
Dope.
All right, I think for mine, and like you said, it might come around the obvious, but I think as far as the 80s goes, to me, kind of was maybe not began forefront, but kind of now spearheaded forward to as we get into the 90s. I think you have to go with Queen Latifah. Obviously, she did have, if we look at her albums, she had the first album that came out, All Hail the Queen. So she was already letting you know what her status was, right from the gate. With the ladies first, and even when we look at her, like she had a very good, strong 3-album run between that, Nature of a Sister, and then the Black Rain that came out, which kind of culminated with
So you doing Queen from the 80s?
I'm doing Queen from the 80s because my 90s is going to be different, but I'm doing all the strength of what she did, and then if you look at the early 90s, she still kind of had that on lock as well,
She really blew. She exploded in the 90s,
Yeah, she definitely exploded in the 90s at that point, but I think she kind of spearheaded towards the end of the 80s where that momentum then brought her over at that point, because that's why I think, to me, when we start seeing other female rappers at that point, it saw the strength of her, because they're like, oh, if she could spit, there's some other legitimate MCs, like you're saying there's other people before her. I think she kind of solidified saying, hey, we really have a place here, at this point. We belong at the table, and I think she made that what it was.
Wow, you guys suck because you guys didn't go with my plan, yo. You guys didn't pick who I thought you were gonna pick.
Hey man, that's the beauty of it.
I want to hear if who you were gonna say was what I was gonna say up until that moment, because I have on my notes here who I was gonna say. I literally have typed my pick, so I want to see if you're gonna say it.
Man, I was hoping that Zoe was gonna say her so I could say the other girl I wanted to say, but Zoe didn't say her. Man, okay, I can't really front on that Queen pick from the 80s. And now I'm tossing, man. Like, so literally,
yeah, you can do a tie.
I might got to do a tie here.
Yeah, hit him with the 2-for-1, man. Yeah, let's hit him with the bargain bin special.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a tie here because I thought that one of you was gonna say Roxanne Shante. I'm surprised Zoe didn't go there.
I thought one of y'all were going to say Roxanne. That's why I kind of.
And I thought one of y'all were going to say her something.
So that's why I kind of said, well, I'll just say Queen. I'm saying one of y'all two are going to say Roxanne, obviously.
Right now, we're like that Spider-Man meme where they just pointing at each other. That's all we're doing right
now. Oh, snaps. Literally, my two picks are polar opposites. So that's why it was really hard for me to choose. Roxanne Shante, because of the street battle, and the like, I'm a lady, I'm tough, and I'm sexy. She was prominent, man. Like, literally was the forefront of the Juice Crew, which a lot of people don't even really know. People give MC Chan that credit. But like you said, Zoe earlier, Kane was like, yo, without Shawnee, there is no Juice Crew. Philly, she was out here in Philly. The label was called, I forgot what label she was down with, but she was.
That's not Cold Crush.
Pop Art.
Oh no, okay, no.
Pop Art.
Yeah.
So she signed a Pop Art in Philly, and that was like one of the early hip hop labels. Fresh Prince, Jazzy Jeff was on there early in the game. Steady B, Cool C, and before New York was pop. A lot of people don't know that. So so Roxanne on the battle side, and then who I was gonna go with was Salt Pepper. As on the commercial side, because to me, Salt Pepper is like they're the Run DMC. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
For females, they were monsters. I mean, monsters. And that I remember listening to Salt Pepper. My aunt had the y'all remember the '85 Nissan Z with the drop top?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yo, my aunt Donna had that joint, and the maroon guts. You know what I mean? The tape deck. And she would play Rakim. She would play Eric and Rakim and Salt Pepper. Like she all played back to back. Those two records. And
them I can remember. Yeah, I can actually remember them on the radio. I can remember their hits, especially like Push It. I can actually remember that. Like point in time.
We were saying those lyrics in elementary during recess. You outside not knowing what them lyrics were talking about. Right. I remember all of us were doing the lyrics word for word. Yeah.
I'll take your man. I thought there's something like basketball something.
Yo, and it wasn't even just that. Like even they had the videos too. So it was like you had the songs, and then they also they had the live performance element of their videos too.
Yeah.
Word.
Definitely.
So I'll go with a tie here. The 90s is gonna be super hard, but yeah, I'm cool with a tie for the 80s.
You know what I can digitally hear everybody saying right now is how no one said MC Light.
Well, that's what I meant to begin, but yeah.
I thought that was your pick, Brandon.
So all right, I'm gonna go into that. Here's the thing. This is why this is tough. MC Light is a tweener.
Yes,
she comes out in '87. You know what I mean? And like mechanical, as far as technical lyricist, MC Light is the GOAT. You know what I mean?
She Lady Rakim. I think she is to what Rakim is to the guys.
Lady Rakim. And I'm spoiler alert. I'm sorry. MC Light just doesn't. She doesn't make the cut for me just because of time frame. You know what I mean? And we gonna give her love here. You know what I'm saying? I think she's probably maybe the greatest of all time. But this decade thing it's tricky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of because Queen Latifah can obviously same thing. Like herself is more in the '90s,
right?
As well.
Right.
So
I love Light, but it's just sometimes it's like where you came out is kind of it depicts how we can judge.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. Good point, though. Good point. So all right, so we swinging into the '90s now, and before we get into like our artists of the decade and all that good stuff, who were your guys' favorites, man? Just like in the '90s.
Are we talking about for the decades, or are we just talking about this in general right now?
Just in the '90s, and we're going in the '90s now.
I mean, '90s. I mean. It was so much. I mean, I remember first hearing "Funkified" by the Brat, and when when So Def came, because they had a different sound. You know what I mean? I just remember hearing it. I'm like, yo, who's flowing like this? Like, and that was just the beauty of the '90s. Everybody had their own unique style. Like nobody was rapping like the Brat when she first came.
And nobody had
a little bit of that double time flow.
Yeah, Chicago.
She had the Chicago vibe. She had her, own look and everything. I just remember hearing it. It was jazzy. I'm like, I remember they had like a little band in the background in the video. I mean, you got Lady of Rage when Rough and Tough, my Afro Puffs came out. I was like, yo. And she was on Death Row. Yeah.
Well, so with the Brat, though, do you guys agree that? Because I feel like she lost respect when people like thought like her and JD was like a knockoff Snoop and Dre.
Oh, so, see, I never really saw. I mean, I understood it, but I never really put much into it. You know what I mean? And I didn't really. And I felt to me it was always a real big reach. So I never gave that much grain of salt. I thought she, to me, solidified herself as who she was. As good as JD was songwriting, producing, I didn't see him at least in that time frame as a Dr. Dre level. Maybe in the later years when he started doing the work with Mariah, a little bit of stuff with Janet, maybe. But during that time frame, no. Absolutely no.
Yeah, and I think like in terms of exposure to like female rappers in the '90s, because now we're older, like we could remember more. Like I remember Yo-Yo was out there.
Oh,
I think she was associated with Ice Cube. You know, you go a little bit further. You know, you get the Kims, the Foxies, El Boogie. You know, like and then you get into the late '90s, the Eves, Rod Diggers, Missies. Like those are in terms of exposure. This is without really digging. This is what, given that the internet wasn't really like a thing like that for most of the '90s, this is what was presented to us, right? It's not like now where we could dig and find somebody who may not be really out there like that. But you know, those are some of the names I remember being presented to me at that point in time.
Word. For me, the '90s was just such a the '80s was very colorful, but to me the '90s was like a rainbow. Just whatever you need, man. Whatever you want as far as like female rappers goes. And I agree with all of y'all, man. I was a big fan of the Brat, Missy, Bahamadia.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Yeah, even Medusa over there, Freestyle Fellowship on the West Coast. On the underground tip.
Ladybug Mecca, man. Diggable Planets.
Ladybug Mecca. Gotta give her love. Queen Pen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Party ain't a party.
And, party ain't a party. And I'm a big 3-6 fan. You guys know that, but fans may not know. So I gotta shout out my girl, Gangsta Boo.
Oh shit, where them dollars at?
Yeah.
That joint still goes hard, man.
Yeah. It's funny too because I remember I think Killer Mike was mentioning it. I think they were like on some live session, him and LP. But you know how we hear a lot of the 808 beats and we hear like the yeah ho and stuff. And he was like, yo, that was Gangsta Boo that started yeah ho where you're using this incorporate into your beat.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
And I didn't realize that to mention. I'm going back because you would hear it in a lot of the 3-6 stuff. But now when you start listening to a lot of this other music, especially a lot of Southern music, you hear that yeah ho. And and that was from her from 16 years old at the time, doing
Word.
You know what I mean?
Yo, like, but before we go into the decade, I gotta name these two. You guys didn't name them. Kim and Foxy. I mean, they were just like,
I said a but go ahead.
Oh no, I didn't know. I didn't even hear you, bro. My bad.
No. Yeah, puberty me remembers them very well. So.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I only made that comment because they opted to be sexy. That's the only reason why I'm making that comment. So.
Word. And you had an early Jean Grey, late '90s, but so this is gonna be even tougher, maybe. Who do you guys? We'll do a round table. Who do you guys declare the artist of the '90s for the female?
I'm gonna keep your thing going because I had a tie, and almost similar to you saying polar opposite. So and they were more mid '90s, late '90s, so forth. But mine were Little Kim and El Boogie as the decades, and obviously they're two opposite sides of the coin. I think and I'll start with Lauryn Hill first. When we look at Lauryn Hill, obviously, especially with the score, and then with the miseducation of Lauryn Hill, she was just on top of her game. I mean. She was arguing better than most dudes, let alone females, at that point lyrically, where she was on, the substance that she was getting, and I always look at the what ifs that she did something after that, but I think that's that short span to me to solidify what she was doing because nobody was really on her level, honestly, on a musical standpoint more than anything else. Little Kim. I had for different reasons. If we look at the prototypical female MC now, for better or worse, Lil' Kim is kind of the mother of that. When we look at Nicki Minaj, when we look at Cardi B, when we look at Megan Thee Stallion, they are all from Lil' Kim's DNA. So Lil' Kim, because prior, when we think about prior to like the Lil' Kims, the Foxy Brown, we still had more of that cut of like the MC Lights and the Queen Latifahs during that time frame. Lil' Kim made it sexy now to be a female MC and wasn't afraid to allow her sex to sell records at that point. I think a lot of that had to do with Biggie, being, in her corner. But you never had, before Lil' Kim, you never had somebody go as explicit as she did. You know what I mean? And I have a funny story about that. So two of the first CDs I think I legally bought was Lil Kim Hardcore.
You diamond yourself out on Tres Leches, bro.
Legally? You said illegally?
Legally.
Oh, I thought he said that I illegally. He got it from Brum Man.
So my mom gave me money, so I bought 2 CDs from the wall. It was Lil Kim Hardcore, and then I bought Flesh and Bones Thugs album. So I remember getting the CD, I'm banging it out or whatever. And I remember my grandma, she was like, "Oh, what are you listening to?" Oh, I'm like, "Well, Lil Kim Hardcore." She's like, "Oh, what is she rapping about?" I'm like, I'm looking like, well, like, what she going through? So
what's she going through?
Like,
what's she going through?
Yeah, so she's like, "Can I listen to some of it?" I'm like, "You don't need to listen to that." So, a couple days later, so I want to listen to it. I see it has parental advisory sticker on it. So I try to hide it. And you remember our friend JJ. So I hid at his house for a minute. And then finally, she forced me to go. She took me over there to get the CD. She listened to, I think, maybe 2 minutes of the album. CD was gone. Fast forward 6 months later, my aunt's ex-boyfriend was driving me home, and he had a Lil Kim CD on. I'm like, "Yo, where you get the CD from?" "Oh yeah, your aunt gave me the CD." I'm like, "Wait a minute, she gave you what?" And I'm looking at it, was my CD. So my grandma took my CD, gave it to my aunt, and she gave it to her ex. I'm like, "Oh,
it got regifted."
You know what I mean? I had somebody. Yeah, it got regifted. I felt some type of way.
Hey, they didn't do it in trash. They knew it was good though.
Yeah, that album is heat. That's Biggie's fingerprints all over that one, but it is heat.
Yeah, definitely heat. But those are my 2 of the decade for like 2 different reasons. Like I said, Lauren, this is an overall artist, but Lil Kim, especially like I said, became the DNA.
Oh yeah, I give it a thumbs up, man. I'm getting out of control.
I see that.
We're brothers. We're happy and we're singing and we're
color.
Give me a high five.
Oh man, I'm getting out of control. All right, man. Ray, man. Who you got, brother?
So actually, and I might just do a supplementary. My actual answer was Queen Latifah for the 90s. I know Renzo went with her. She was I think she was a real late tweener because I think her debut came out in '89. But
he was a tweener,
yeah, and her career really takes off in the 90s. And so she was my choice. I mean, when you listen to her stuff, I feel like she has the presence of she has like the energy of a female Ice Cube. She's also like, she can do the woke raps. She can sing. She sings well. She can even do bravado raps that ain't just gonna get the women like into it. Like she can actually like get you hype as a man. She just has the energy. She's just a complete artist. This actually wasn't a New Jersey bias track. I mean, if you just go off the top, UNITY, Just Another Day, Queens Had It Up to Here, Black Hand Side. I mean, she's got tracks. You know what I'm saying? And I will say, when I compare her albums to, let's say, like Lauryn Hill only put out the one, right? She's rapping more on the duration of her albums than I feel Lauren is on hers. Now, this takes nothing away from Lauryn Hill as an MC. You hear Lauren's bars on the Fugees albums as well as the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. But I gotta go Queen Latifah, because even when I press play on her stuff now, as I was even preparing for this episode, I still enjoy her music. And I think like compared to, and remember, this is me putting her up against artists that had bigger success, like Eve, like Rod Digger, Missy, and I'm Queen Latifah for the 90s, my personal pick.
And I just want to add on real quick, because especially when you were talking about UNITY, so when we look at let's say especially like West Coast gangster rap, then with bitches ain't shit and the whole lot of emphasis on bitch. When UNITY came out, he's like, who the fuck are you calling a bitch? You know what I mean? It's like I'm not whoever you talking about is not me. And I felt, even though granted I'm not a female, but hearing that song was empowering, because it's like, I'm more than what you're trying to claim. I'm more than just an object. And I thought that was very monumental song, especially during that time, because you had the Chronic, you had Doggy Style all around that time. And as much as we love that album, we know the messages that they were putting out there weren't the best, neither in regards to women.
I mean, even in the song, she says, I punched him dead in his face. She actually gives you not just verbal, but the physical. And in the video, I think it was Vin Rock from Naughty by Nature who was playing the role of the guy who would have been on the receiving end of the punch. So Flavor Unit, they kept everything in
Church wasn't about that life.
She was a do-it-all, man. A do-it-all.
And she can act.
Yeah. do it all. You guys are making it hard like next. Pause.
Hey yo.
So I gotta. I can't do another tie. That'd just be ridiculous. The '90s was just so crazy, man. But yo, big shout to Kim because I feel that one because Kim had a straight vibe in the '90s, man. And even she had a run in the early 2000s as well. But I gotta go for the '90s. If you guys listen to the episode 5, the listeners caught the '96 draft. I drafted her, so I gotta continue. I gotta be consistent. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta go with L Boogie, Lauryn Hill. I'll put her like a good barometer for me to say this. I'll just be short and sweet. She's in my all-time list of MCs, no matter what the sex is. So you know, I'm cool with ranking her in the top 10 with straight up, you know, monster dudes like Biggie, you know, Nas, Rakim, the greats. I'm cool with putting her in that list. So, of course, I can't ignore her. I just can't do it. I gotta go L Boogie for the '90s, and I respect all you guys' picks. And again, MC Light is like she just gets missed out here just because of the timing.
Timing, yeah.
That's all. That's all it is.
Answer me this, and I don't know if this is a partial hot take or me just being an angry old man. I would put MC Light and Lauryn Hill up against practically almost any New Jack from the 2010s. And I would side that the women will come out as the victors. If it was like best 16, and I think I would side with them. That's me personally.
I wouldn't argue that.
I mean,
wouldn't argue that.
Me neither.
Because I mean, and we'll get into later in the other decades, but I mean, if we're just talking about this pure skill set, there's really not that many during that time, you know, in the 2010s like that, you know,
right?
Consistently.
Right, and you know, MC like the knock on her would be like, okay, like she wasn't real cerebral, like her attack was really too deep, like, you know, 2-dimensional. Oh no.
Oh, damn. Oh, she heard.
Somebody's about to die.
She pulling up.
Like,
she pulling up. Like I sounded Death Row yesterday.
She said she about to hit you with 20% more disc.
Yo, I swear, something crazy always happens, yo. Like a random sound. Anytime we do these, yo. But where was I going here with this? Yeah, the knock on Light will be she's a 2-dimensional MC, but you know, she just didn't have to be 3-dimensional. Where I think Lauryn was 3-dimensional. And what I mean by 3-dimensional is like Lauryn could give you a song about like smoking weed and just having fun, B-girl style, and then she could give you, you know, a doo-wop. You know what I mean? Where she's being real, just like covering everything, like an overview of not just her life, but somebody that she notices over here or somebody that she notices over there. And I feel like both of them embody, you know, to your point, Ray, like styles that are really just untested. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah, amen, Reverend.
But moving on here, so we got the 80s and the 90s covered. Before we get into the 2000s, I'm gonna switch the order up here real quick. So let's just talk about for a minute, like where's the love, man? Let's discuss, you know, what's happened. Like women respecting the industry, the over-sexualization, the lack of multi-layer artists. You know, where are the female producers? Where are the DJs? You know, what are you guys' opinions on, you know, what's going on right now, females in hip hop?
I think it goes back to,
as I was mentioning earlier, I think.
Okay, good.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm gonna say what I mentioned earlier, like with Lil' Kim, it was the gift and the curse as far as her impact to the game. Because at the same time now, that's almost now the formula especially on a mainstream level of a female MC is if they're going to, as far as if they're going to get radio play and you know everything else. If we look at Nicki Minaj and we look at like the Cardi B's and the Megans, that's what you want to hear. You're not going to really hear a Rhapsody on there because they're like, that's not selling. Her speaking knowledge or her being different. And not selling. So next appeal and kind of push that us now the go-to formula at this point for better or worse. So when we're talking, how people had the controversy when, with the Cardi B and the Megan Thee Stallion song, the WAP came out. I'm not really mad at the song because I'm mad more or less because I think us as men as well, we like, oh, well, sex sells, we want this and that. Because to me, that song no different than Uchi Wally. That's all no different than what Two Live Crew was doing. No different than than some of the other stuff. The only difference that we still had balance, but we're still talking about a male-dominated genre. So I can still listen to some conscious Tupac or some ignorant stuff, but on a radio standpoint, my only option right now is just the over-sexualization. And it really hit me maybe about 5 years ago. I was talking to my ex on the phone. And I'm hearing her daughter reciting Nicki Minaj lyrics. And the daughter's maybe like 4 years old or whatever. I don't have any kids, so it's not my space to tell a parent how they should parent. But I'm like, don't think that's a good idea that she's reciting that, And I said that to her and she's like, well, she don't know what it means. I'm like, what makes you think that kid doesn't know something? Because at that age, especially you're a sponge, you can put two to two together after a while. And that kind of hit me saying that, man, we don't really have enough balance as far as female MCs, as far as other ranges. Because we can go Spotify, we can go to Tidal, we can go whatever to find that balance. A lot of we do that. But for the average person who might not do that, more casual listener, they're just going to go for that same stuff and it's redundant. And it's like the culture and that realm doesn't grow where we're at kind of, at right now, unfortunately. At that point where you don't have that. Because the only producer I could think of, when we were talking producers, was Missy. The Missy produced. And I know there was, I can't remember her name. There was a female who actually did the Bad as Bougie beat. I can't remember her name, but outside of that, we don't really hear any prominent female rappers or prominent female DJs on a big scale like that. And it shouldn't be that way since they always had a heavy role in the culture from the beginning,
Bro, like, real talk, like, as you mentioned, producers and DJs, like, and big up to Ali's wife is the DJ. I forgot her name, but she's an official DJ. Like, we're missing out. We have a whole side of a sex. Right, a whole side of a gender that can be doing ill stuff. Like, there's a female primo out there. There's a female P-Rock. Like, there's a female Dilla. Like, we literally are being starved right now because of the gates, right? The gatekeepers and people not letting folks in. Like, they're there. You know what I mean? But it's a shame that there's no access to female producers, bro. And I'm just literally like, I've been thinking about that for years. And I'm like, man, like, ain't like women can't do it. The hell they can't.
Like Jean Grey. I mean, when I used to go to the Beat Society,
she doing beats
over the years. She was going on there, but she was like the only female representation that you saw. You know what I mean? So even then, like I said, it's so far and few in between that we don't, that we see. And like you said, there's a prop of them, but like there's no uplifting to put them in the forefront or give them some type of spotlight for them to grow.
Do you think women are more drawn to also, and there's no way to really know this, but is it possible that women are also more drawn to singing, right? Because a lot of the women can sing, will also know how to play instruments, I noticed. So do you think it's possible that, I don't disagree that there isn't, that there aren't women producers that may not be getting the push. I don't deny that at all. But do you think it's also possible that some of the women maybe that they find that maybe they feel an easier way into the game could be like through singing? Because a lot of people look at, like if a woman sings on an album and she's a rapper, no one bats an eye. But when a guy does it, it kind of, look what happened with Ja Rule, the legend. You know what I'm saying? Like it creates it creates a different kind of conversation. It's murder. So.
Well, Ray, and I think it goes back to gender roles. I don't think women are being encouraged even to go into that field. Women aren't encouraged, to be producers, to be more than just a dancer or a video girl or a model, right? Like one of my good homies, man, he made a good point. He said he's a younger guy and he's dating right now. He said, yo, man, he said all these girls want to be IG models. He's like, but like, he's like, yo, he's like, one of these girls is like a good ass rapper. Like, like you're doing the wrong thing, And like I don't think women are being encouraged to go into these fields of interest. You know what I'm saying? And I'll give my answer real quick. I think that I'm not gonna blame Kim, Oxy, and them But I do think that's where you saw a clear shift where, you know, in the 80s, there really wasn't a lot of over-sexualization. I mean, Salt and Pepper, like, they were sexy, but it wasn't like overkill.
Yeah.
You know, other than them, we can't really name a female MC that was like showing everything. You know, it wasn't happening. It didn't exist. I think the 90s was the shock value where Kim and Fox and them, they stepped out like, yo, this is rap, we're gonna be sexy and we can still rhyme. And then somehow that just became the lane, like that one lane.
Norm at that point. Yeah.
And it's still prevalent.
Which kind of like
today.
almost kind of sucked the life. Yeah. It's not where now it's not revolutionary now. Now it's just kind of just a detriment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on that note, we're gonna slide into the 2000s, and we're gonna get into our artists of the decade. But before we do that, can you guys just give some love, or you know, who were y'all checking for in the 2000s as far as FMCs go?
On the early 2000s, or are we talking about 2000?
Just 2000.
2000 to 2010.
Because the early 2000s was very dry. You know,
Willa.
Yes, say hello.
What up, dog?
Early 2000s. I mean, outside of some of the people we were mentioning, I think Missy was definitely in early 2000s was the forefront. As far as somebody on the more of the underground tip, I was always a heavy Jean Grey fan. You know, so I was always checking her out, and you know, I was always mind blown by her wordplay and her delivery. You know, she was definitely one of my MCs, which I was kind of hoping at that time where maybe Major would get her. You know, she never really got that push that I felt that she should have got. But to me, was in that same cut of a Lauryn Hill. If she wanted to sing, she can definitely sing. But, you know, she was just a vicious MC. You know, obviously, we still had Kim in there. We had Rod Digger. Remy, to me, could have had a much bigger impact. It was unfortunate with Pun passing. And then her, you know, going to jail. You know what I mean? But I mean, there were some of the ones in 2010s. Obviously, you had your Nickies, Ciroc, who Ciroc, she signed. These are the last two actual physical albums I bought outside of King.
Yo, Ciroc.
But you know, I actually got a photo with her. That's one of the last shows I went to was the Rhapsody and Ciroc, the Black Women Created This tour. One of the best shows I've seen, you know, quite some time. And you know, that's their lyrics, and when we talk about women empowerment, that was definitely an empowerment show. Through and through, but you know, I bought the CDs, signed them, you know, and we rapped a little bit afterwards. But those are the main people I was really like. Nicki had her run, but I'm not a Nicki fan, but I can't deny what she did for the game at that point, you know, on the mainstream level especially. But those who I was really checking for mostly was the Cirocs, the Rhapsodies, Jean Grays, and you know, the Missies at that point.
About you, Ray?
Yeah, 2000s like that. Like for me, that was a very dry decade when it comes to like a female rap, and I'm talking like mainstream and underground. Like there's just I think I just wasn't very present in that decade. I was absolutely checking for Remy because Pun was in her corner. I loved how she sounded on Miss Martin. Her debut was a bit of a letdown, but clearly what was missing there was Pun in her corner because she wrote 3 hit records on her own. But when she went away, I mean, she was bubbling up. Remember, she was on the Annie Up remix and held it down. Wish I could bring Pun back. You know what I'm saying? Like she was doing it, but again, she kind of, you know, ruined it herself. And you know, she maintains her innocence. You know who I wanted something to happen to because I was checking for her since the late '90s. She would have been a tweener. Was Charlie Baltimore. She seemed like she was on the rise a little bit in the late '90s. She got with Murder Inc. in the 2000s, and at one point in time, you know, Murder Inc. couldn't lose. I wanted to hear because I always liked her. I loved that NBC joint in the '90s. That album never came out. And then I would have to say like, yeah, I would have to like default probably to like Missy for the 2000s because she's another one where she sings probably a little bit more than she raps, but her albums are heat. So I mean, as far as like the underground, like I got put onto Jean Grey in the 2000s. My first album that I heard from Jean was the This Week album. Loved it. I think so far to this day, my favorite joint is the song she did with Ninth Wonder. She's like, I know I'm on the right path to who I'm going to be. That Don't Rush Me joint. So that's kind of like where my ears was. But in terms of, I felt like for me, the volume that I was aware of in the 90s just reduced drastically in the 2000s. And there may be way more names that I'm just not aware of. But I know when it comes to that decade, wasn't a whole lot.
Or for me, and so from 2000 to 2010, we're breaking this down in 10. For me, I'm gonna go with what you guys just people that you didn't say. Eve was definitely like on my radar. You know what I mean, especially from Philly. And I mean, yo, man, I've been doing my homework, like refreshing, right? And I'm like, yo, Eve was like one of the only ones that like really was rhyming next to Style, DMX, Jay-Z, Jadakiss, like on the norm. You know what I mean? Like, and held her own. Like, we didn't look at her like a weak link. We were like, yo, all right, Eve, yo, that was a dope verse. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Rough
Eve
Riders
was in
remix.
there, man. Like, yo, she was in there and catapulted her career. And look at her now. Like, I think it's always great when you see artists like in their infancy stage, and now Eve is like a superstar and superstar in the right way. You know, like, she does things in a classy form of fashion, man. You know what I mean? And I respect that, man. Like, you know, she's like a real good story of just like how you can do this thing without, you know, selling out or just like, you know, sacrificing your internal self. You know what I'm saying?
I think one of her most known songs is the Love is Blind. You know what I'm saying? And if you remember the video, you know, obviously for anybody that's younger that doesn't remember that song, you know, it's obviously about her friend who lost her life because she was in a domestic, you know, a violent relationship. And at the end of the video, Eve pulls out a gun and blasts dude who went to the girl's funeral. You know what I'm saying? So that's another form of empowerment right there.
And who was talking about that in 1999? Like
on a mainstream level, right? Yeah, like on a mainstream, like she used her platform to say it ain't just gonna be, you know, just party music.
Exactly. So guys, you started us off. So bro, give us your artist of the decade from 2000 to 2010.
To 2000, 2010. I'm gonna go with Missy. I think she, she kind of health concerns and stuff kind of stopped around mid 2000s, like 2005, but she had that run where she was almost dropping an album almost every year or almost every other year.
She was tweener.
She was tweening because she started in 97, with Superfly. You know what I mean? And to me, and she was on the cusp. I think, once you had Lauren kind of fall off and then, Lil' Kim and Foxy starting to fizzle, I think Missy kind of got in there. And what was refreshing about Missy was she wasn't doing the whole sex appeal. She had her songs that might have pushed the envelope a little bit, but she just wanted to have fun. And I remember when, even though this was in the 90s, when I Can't Stay in the Rain came out, that I'd never heard nothing like that before as far as the direction. I'm like, yo, what is this? And, she come out with the big, balloon outfit on or whatever. But the scene where she was able to do elevating with the singing, she did a lot of singing, especially on the second album more, but incorporate other genres, other styles. There's Nelly Furtado doesn't blow up the way she does if it wasn't for Missy. You know what I mean? Nobody really was on Nelly Furtado until Missy brought her into the fold. You know what I mean? We look at the magic that her and Timbaland had, especially. We talk about the Snoop and Dre's. We'll talk about, Nas and Primo, Nas, and all that stuff. But look at the
Starlet.
But as far as when we talk about like MC producer chemistry, they had arguably some of the best chemistry ever. Them two when they had their run, and she knew the right hits, what people wanted. But to me, she didn't make it cheesy, and none of her albums or songs, I should say, they never sound forced. She's not, I gotta make this club song. She just did it, and she made the hit become a hit. You know what I mean? The radio came to her. She didn't go to the radio. So I definitely have to give her, hands down, the 2000s, decade at that point.
Oh yeah, bro. Well, I'll follow you up because I got the same Missy for me, bro. It is no contest. And like, there was a lot of good underground stuff bubbling. Like Gene was bubbling hard on the underground in the 2000s scene. Rhapsody was kind of like early. She was just getting started. Like
she was just kind of bubbling. Yeah.
But I gotta give it to Missy because she already had 3 years in the 90s where she was like just wrecking shop. And in the 2000s she just got a freak on, pun intended. You know what I'm saying? And just a straight artist, man. Like straight empowerment. Like like, Missy is really a forward futuristic artist, man. Like the stuff she was doing, like that stuff, like, the 90s was a judgmental time. Like she came out literally with like a trash bag, with a blown up trash bag. Like, I'm here, y'all. Like, she was overweight. She had the finger wave. We weren't used to seeing that, yo. Like,
nah.
like, and she wasn't even, her lyrics was like, he.
Which kind of reminds you of the Fat. It's like the Fat Boys, or the like.
Right. Yo, hell yeah. And she made it work. And a cool story about Missy that I found this out last year. So Super Duper Fly. So I'm I love Jodeci. So I've been reading their biography, and Jodeci spawned Timberland and the whole Basement Crew, Genuine, and Sister and Tweet, and all these artists. And Missy was like grinding like a slave, working for Jodeci and Timberland. Like, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. And the story that Missy said was like, I never wanted to even be a rapper. Like, so she said when she signed to Elektra, the deal that she signed, Super Duper Fly, was to be like a one-off. Like, she's like, all right, this will be on my one album, and I want to produce. Like, I want to do beats. I'm done being a recording artist. But she was with the group Sister for like mad years, and like it went nowhere. Under Devontae. So yeah, like what? Super Duper Fly went like 3 times platinum, and they're like, yo, you're an artist.
Yes, Sock It To Me,
She was writing songs for other people.
But funny thing is, Missy's the reason why Styles wasn't on All About the Benjamins.
Yeah. So she didn't want to be an artist. She was like, I want to be in the background, but her talent said otherwise.
Said otherwise, yeah.
Yeah. Word up. All right, man. Last but not least, the Butter Pecan Rican.
Yeah, going hat trick, man. I can't think. I think even if we were to like
Angie Martinez. He's pulling the Puerto Rico card.
I'm saving that card for later. But nah, gotta go hat trick, man. I think even if and going into this episode, as much as with the amount of history there is here with females' contribution to hip hop, I almost think like there could be a part 2 to this. You know what I'm saying? But with that said, I think even if we were
easily,
and I feel that even if we came back like hypothetically a year from now and we did part 2, and you would ask me this question, I still would pick Missy for the 2000s. I don't think you're gonna find somebody with the chemistry that her as the singer rapper and the producer, the production in Timberland, what they had in like a nice 4-album run. They were like Michael and Quincy. I don't think you're gonna find anybody mainstream independent that had that kind of run that they did. And I will say that right here, right now. So like a year from now, I want to revisit this. I believe my answer would be the same. Like you said before, Brandon, Eve had a nice run too. She had like a 3-4 album run where she was multi-platinum. She had hits and all that. But I just don't know that anyone did it in that way that Missy did. Missy almost had a little bit of the Outkast element to her in that her sound was always new on each album. You could not predict what she was going to put out. You couldn't. There wasn't, oh, that's the Missy sound. No, it was like, oh, what's this? Oh, by the way, it's Missy. So I got to say that's a hat trick for the 2000s.
Oh, yeah, bro.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. All right, man. So moving on down. So we're going to swing into the 2010s going into now. Just briefly, man, who are your favorites? Who's on your interest? Who got your guys' attention going from 2010 to 2020?
I think for this decade, and this is like, I've been trying to become more aware of like who are the female rappers that they're really grinding. I feel like a lot of the names that were that I came across, they're not part of like a major label. They're pushing themselves because we're in the streaming era. So one of the newer ones I came across who's dope, that I want to hear more from is Armani Caesar. She's actually part of Griselda, and what's it called? She has a song with Benny the Butcher produced by DJ Premier. So actually she is part of like a label that's known right now. I would actually say and I think you put up a thing on Instagram, Young M.A., she actually, I thought she was just going to be like a gimmick. I heard her spit a freestyle over the Locks Money Power Respect beat. And I remember I was like, holy shit, like she was actually not the whole, oh, she can rap for a girl thing. No. I mean, she was rapping better than like some men who think they belong in the game. So I would say a little bit curious about her. Naturally, I was curious to see what would happen with Nicki Minaj because she got so much press. You know what I mean? And I think another one, well, the other one I'm gonna say for our actual choice. So I'm gonna just hold back.
I'll piggyback off you. Young M.A. definitely was an MC that I noticed when she came out, and I feel like the ooh record was everywhere. Everybody knows that, and like we veterans, man, our ears are trained to be like, okay, that's one song. You know what I mean? Like that's cute. You know what I mean? But can you continue to do this? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And she proved me wrong. Like that girl can rap in any era. You put her in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, she can hold her own. You know what I mean? Straight up.
Easily.
Young M.A. can hold her own. And another one I'll throw out there is Cash Doll. She's like more on the newer side of the decade. Cash Doll can spit her ass off. And of course, Nicki. I gotta roll with Nicki too. And yeah, Nicki's a whole he's a whole podcast, bro. I got a lot of Nicki.
Yeah.
But
that Monsterverse, man, that Monsterverse. I love that you put that up on the you know what? Let's be honest with that Monsterverse. She out-rapped everybody on there. Everybody.
Like Rick Ross didn't even get on the track after that. Like I remember Rick Ross came in and Nicki came like should have just been limited.
Yeah, she batted clean up. And I remember in the beginning, I was just like, did she really do that? It took me a while, but like you listen to that song, I think that beat is hard as hell. And she out-rapped everybody. It was an aging Jay-Z, so she wasn't even rapping against a prime Jay-Z. Kanye was still like in his moment. She out-rapped him. Rick Ross rapped for like 7 seconds. She brings that track home. So
yeah, easily.
Yeah, so, no doubt. All right, man, Zelda guy.
2010, I think. I mean, obviously Nicki, that, especially on the mainstream level, she really had no competition, but we'll go over that later. But outside of the obvious, I think Rhapsody, that's when we start seeing Rhapsody start coming into form. Sure. And it's funny, I didn't like Rhapsody almost same way I didn't like Kendrick when he first came out. I didn't like Rhapsody's voice. I remember we went to see when we went to see the Fonte
Little brother.
Yeah,
or it was ninth. It was ninth. Yeah. It
was ninth. Remember, because they already kind of disbanded by then.
Yeah, it was ninth.
But I remember she coming out. I'm like, nah. I remember Steve was in love with Rhapsody at that point. Like she can do no wrong. And I'm like, I don't really see the hype. But I think
we saw her early. We saw her early.
Before she really started coming to form with with Layla's Wisdom, and then with the Eve album. But her, I mentioned Ciroc earlier. Ciroc, can saying some of the young M.A., I think she can spit in any era. I think that's how nice Ciroc is. One person I've been checking out a lot lately. She's somewhat Griselda affiliated, but she's also on the if you're familiar with 38 Special. She's on the Trust Army, Shay Noor. And I was telling you the other day, like she just got an album out with Apollo Brown. She got Black Thought on there. Sky Zoo is on there. But I mean, to me, it's almost like she's almost a mixture between Rhapsody and Remy. Minus the hot-headedness that I'm going to shoot you because you took, $5,000 from me, quote unquote.
Shots fired, literally and figuratively.
Listen, I love Remy. Listen, when Remy came out, when Miss Martin came out, I said the game is over. I'm like, she's going to be the one. That's how I felt Remy was, especially when Any Up Remix came out. I'm like, this is Remy's time, but that's neither here nor there.
She needed fun in her corner.
Zoe had every Remy Martin.
Yeah, I was making Remy Mount. I made like 3 volumes.
Bro, I had every single one. Zoe hit me off. That's a Remy 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I was making them all. When Napster, LimeWire, FrostWire, I'll find those Remy tracks.
Kaza, whatever.
Remy, Kaza, yeah. So I loved Remy back in the day. But yeah, Shay Nor. Then there's a duo out too. They actually got a song with Method Man. Blimes, Gab, I believe they're called. They actually came out an album back in April. I was actually just listening to that. They're pretty dope. And then you got Chica. She just came out. Actually, if you saw the Netflix movie, the Project Power with Jamie Foxx, she has a small role in there, but she actually wrote all the raps for the lead actress on there. She's similar to me, almost a cut from Missy. She did a lot of the singing, but she did a lot of the MCing too. So they're definitely worth checking out, for sure.
For sure. All right, man. So we're gonna swing it to Ray, man. Give us your artist of the decade from 2010 to now.
So I am going to reach back into that back pocket of mine and pull out the Puerto Rico card. And I would actually say that when that's why I loved it. I love that you said that, because I was just like, it was coming. It was coming. I got my New Jersey bias on with Queen Latifah, and honestly, I'm just starting to think that Jersey births like the best female rappers. That's just bias talking. We can argue at the barbecue on Sunday, guys. Lord. But for 2010s, you know who I'm gonna give her my vote, and I would like to keep checking for her to see if she's gonna do more in the 2020s. I'm gonna go with Nitty Scott. She's actually Afro-Latina. I'm going with her. I think her official debut was The Art of Chill, and when you listen to that, she kind of invokes a little bit of like that Ladybug Mecca Diggable Planets feel. That album is a literal vibe. To any other Puerto Rican listening right now, that album is like botanica music, and a botanica is a place where people go to, like, especially like they have these places in the Bronx where you go to buy like incense and like religious items and folklore items, like things like that. And that's like the vibe you get from her. She's really out there. She got Ab Soul on her album. She's done other projects. She did a project with Joel Ortiz, Bodega Band, and Salam Remy on as the producer, and as a group they're called No Panty, which means no panties. And she holds up well against these other like aggressive ass dudes, and she has like this really high pitched voice. And she's dope. And what I like about her is in an era in the 2010s, you know me, I'm always complaining about everybody just wants to rap over trap beats, and everybody just wants to rap with the same flow, like just not have an identity. And just her debut alone, and I mean, like I previewed the Che Noir album. I don't know that that's like her debut, Renz, feel free to correct me. But just compared to like the Rhapsodies, who I think does make dope music as well, I think she just, her debut alone sounded like nothing else I heard, and it drew me in. And Brandon, I would say like it has Diggable Planet vibes to it, like easily. So I'm gonna give it to Nitty Scott, and I would like to keep checking for her and see what else she got, because she like her stuff like actually drew me in and made me more like genuinely excited. As excited as I was when we were talking about like our 90s acts.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
And it's funny you mentioned her, because I didn't even check that. I knew about it, but I never still checked it. So I definitely check that probably soon.
I'm listening to that tonight. I'm listening to her tonight. When we get off, I'm listening to her tonight.
Yo, pick the most.
I remember that vibe just because I remember an interview she was talking about that when they were saying how she was changing her sound a little bit. She was saying, I'm trying to evolve, because like you already heard that, from that album that you're alluding to.
That Art of Chill, if you're gonna throw that on, make sure you have the most lavenderist inset. Light it up.
Oh, I got to find this.
I know you do. You're the plug. Yo, it is a vibe, man. It is chill. It is the Art of Chill. She couldn't have titled it any better. So that's where I'm going. And she's got other work too.
Hey, I got to give a shout out to my girl Vita real quick, because Vita just followed me on Twitter. Murder Inc. baby, Vita.
Vita? Oh, snap.
Yeah, the real Vita. And
it's the world against you and I, Vita?
Who's that chick? Who's that chick? Vita.
Hashtag we murderers, baby.
I love Vita. Vita, I love you, and I love Total. That's all I got to say. All right, man. You got it, man. Artist of the decade, bro. What you got?
Artist of the decade. I mean, obviously, you can say Nicki on a commercial standpoint. I was just never a big fan of Nicki. I can't tell you any album I listened to Nicki, front to back ever. Because to me it was a lot of filler in between. But I respect her. But me personally, as far as what kind of brought me back to saying, hey, females belong. Not that they said they never did, but now they're re-solidifying that was Rhapsody. I remember I was dating this one John at the time, Shorty. We were driving home. I was about to drive back to the crib. I threw on the latest Wisdom on, and she know nothing about Rhapsody. And she's like, yo, who is that? Oh, Rhapsody. Blah. I'm just saying it casually, I'm not thinking she's really going to really take in the music, but she was like, yo, this girl is different. She's not talking about spreading her legs or shaking her ass all the time. Like, she's actually talking some substance, and which led to us then having a date, when she came to perform in Philly. At that point, and for somebody to solicit off strength for that and say, yo, we got to see her. If you go to the show, let me know. And that kind of made me get back in tune, because like I said, I wasn't a big fan of Rhapsody. Like, even on Pimp a Butterfly, I didn't really like Rhapsody's input on that song. Everybody was hyped about that. Effect. Yeah, like everybody was hype about it, but I didn't really see the hype with that. But when Layla's Wisdom came out, I saw like the growth and the maturity and kind of now adjusted to her voice. I'm like, yo, this is a talented, MC right here. And this made me just go back into it. And then when Eve came out, and then like I said, when the tour, A Black Woman Created This tour came out, this whole vibe and the whole feel. I mean, me and Brian, we went there. I had my little dashiki on and everything. Brian's like, oh man, Brian's looking around like, man, so many beautiful.
Oh, you showed up to that and like blickety black, like you went all the way.
Oh yeah, I was blickety black that night. I was blickety black that night. Homies were coming up to me like, yo man, what you doing? I'm like, I'm trying. Bro,
he went CB4.
You know what I mean? Shoot, I found God in that night, and I found I was a woman. You know what I mean? A black woman. So that was who I have, ultimately speaking. Like I said, Nicki, if we're talking about the mainstream, she dominated 2010. None of us can deny that.
They didn't push anyone against her. Back,
no, yeah, she really had no competition on the mainstream level, honestly. Everybody was coming out, oh, they're trying to sound like Nicki, or that's lame, and here comes Rhapsody. And I think a lot of her, and she had momentum because Jay put her on, Rock Nation. At that point in time, and she was, wasn't Eve nominated, or was it the latest Willis that was nominated for the Grammy?
It was.
It was
yeah.
Eve.
So I mean,
Eve was
Grammy nominated. Yeah. Eve. Okay.
And that is a dope album.
I mean, yeah. That was one of my top albums, probably in the top 10. I think I actually had Leia's Wisdom the year that came out as my favorite album that year. I think was that 2016. Or 2017 when that came out. I didn't really see no album really touching that. I remember I was playing that for us on New Year's when we were driving down to AC.
I remember that. Yeah.
Francisco.
Word. All right, man. So I'll close this off, man. I definitely respect Rhapsody, but I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. It took me a while to like get, accustomed to her, to the flow, to the voice, yeah. But I'm definitely on point. I mean, been with her from the beginning, but I'm gonna make a hard left turn to Queens, New York, and I'm gonna go with the pink one. With the pink one, I'm gonna go with Nick right here, man. Like, and I really, and I'm not even trying to be like different here. Like, I really believe in this pick. Her lyrical ability is like there, man. Like the girl can rap, man. The girl's super talented, and I think unfortunately, my gripe with her is she doesn't have a classic. She don't have a classic album. I agree with you guys. Say like a lot of her stuff is just filler. But the Queen LP, the last joint she just dropped. I think this is like 5 or 6 joints, but she's going in like Dreams. She got a joint called Chung Lee. For dudes like me, like Street Fighter, Chung Lee we already know what that means.
Yeah.
That song was actually dope.
She can do this, man. Like, she can do this. Chung Lee was ridiculous. Like, the girl can go there, man. For some reason, I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't tell you what it is for her, bro. But she
likes
a
being
knock
a
on her is
gimmick.
no classic album. Yeah. There you go. But I mean, on ability, and she got enough verses and enough bars for me to just say like, yo, I can give you that like in the 2010s, to 2020. Like Nick she's a spitter, yo. She's a spitter, and I think she can rap in any. This is the test, right? This is the litmus test. Can I put you in 88? Can I put you in 98? Can I put you in 2008? Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Her at her best day, she can survive, with those spitters back in the day.
Ninth Wonder even co-signed her. I followed when I was following Ninth on Twitter, and he was saying that like from his, he's a producer, so he knows the nuances of what to look for when somebody gets in the booth. He said that she's like, she knows how to make records. He's like, she could flow. She knows how to deliver her lines and stuff. I just think she has a lot of songs, kind of like Eminem, like just kind of like a bunch of pointless like songs. And she does a little bit of this and sounds like Pee Wee Herman on the mic and shit. But when she's doing things like, again, the universal example is the Monster verse. You know what I mean? It shows that she can do it when she wants to take it there. When she wants to just focus and zero in, she can do it. But I agree with you. She's definitely chased radio a lot, and her pockets are happy for her because of it. But now I think she's in that point in her career where it's just like, all right, put the bullshit aside. Make the album as if you are actually from Queens and you want to be mentioned with the Prodigies and the 50 Cents and the Mobb Deeps and LL and all that. Because it's funny, you never think of her when we mention all the other Queens guys. You're as big as she is.
Right, and that's a sign right there. We need a Queen's disease. You know what I mean? She needs to drop that Queen's disease.
She did Pink Print, so Queen's disease, it's really not out the realm of reality.
Word. All right, man. So we're gonna have some fun real quick before we get out of here, man. So we got a new segment here on the podcast, and it's called Start Bench Cut. So we all just, this is, man, 40 years, 40 years is just ill-ass females, man. So we all gonna just quiz each other here. So I'll give you guys the rules out there. So we all have a choice between 3 MCs, and we have a choice to either start one, like that's your player, you bench one as the backup, or cut one. So that means that doesn't make the team. So we're all gonna like give each other the whole shebang here. Ray, you wanna start it off?
Yeah. So what is it? I throw out my 3, and then one of y'all starts bench or cut. All right. So
you're gonna give it to one of us. Yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta pick. You gotta pick who you're gonna give it to.
Okay. So you know what? I'm gonna give this to Renzo only because I think this would be a harder pick for him. I picked these 3 for a reason. Okay, so the 3 female MCs I picked are Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, and Megan Thee Stallion. I deliberately am picking those. See, that's what I'm talking about. Yo, I think I just heard Willow just dip off.
But I think it's easier than what you expect, and I'm gonna tell you why. So, I'm starting Nicki, obviously.
Okay.
I'm benching Megan. I'm cutting Cardi because Cardi don't write. And she already mentioned Cardi don't write. So off the strength of that conversation. Off the strength of that, she's already cut right off the bat. And Megan, to me, is not there on a Nicki's level. She can be though, and Megan, she reminds me a lot, I think, of a more almost a more polished version of Gangsta Boo. Honestly, when I first heard Megan, that was an immediate vibe I got from her. I'm like, yo, if Gangsta Boo was maybe a little bit more lyrical, not saying she's not, but she was a little more lyrical, a little bit more polished, that's Megan Thee Stallion. So Megan to me has a lot of potential, but like I said, Cardi don't write, so she's already cut. You know what I mean? Easily off the bat.
Yeah. He said, so get that
you
wop out of here.
If you don't pin.
Yeah. Yeah. What up, Drake? You cut too. You know what I mean?
Right, so
I'm gonna give Ray all Puerto Ricans. Make it real tough. All right, so I'll go and I'll give it to Ray. Start, bench, cut. Foxy Brown, Eve, MC Light.
Okay. I'm just typing them here because at my old age, I forget things fast. So start, bench, cut. If I'm starting, I am going to start MC Light. I'm going to bench Eve and cut Foxy because I believe Foxy, if it's not for the same reason Renzo benched Cardi B, Foxy at some point in time I believe had the ghostwriting. And I know some people say, yeah, but it was just for this and that. But I'm old school. I'm old school, and there's a lot of Foxy music I enjoyed, but I'm cutting Foxy purely for that reason. So starting MC Light, benching Eve, cutting Foxy.
Okay. Yeah,
the Nana ain't ill enough.
Ooh. I mean, it was when I saw it in the Source magazine, but
that's not what I saw.
She's not coming full circle today. So
I mean, Corrupt was about to kill everybody over that back in the day. Yeah.
Yo, coast to coast.
Yeah, coast to coast.
So that means so now Renzo, you got to give
for Brandon.
3 to Brandon. Yeah.
All right. So here's my lineup. So Queen Latifah, Missy Elliott, Lil' Kim.
Ooh. Wow. That's a good one, bro. Queen, Missy, Kim. Shit. I gotta start. Man. Well, I gotta start Queen. Yeah, F this question. I'm done here. This podcast over.
and he literally came up with this segment. He literally came up with the segment.
That's a horrible idea. I'll renege. I gotta go with the OG. I can't. I gotta start Queen. Good Lord, this ain't fair, man. This is not fair. I gotta bench. I gotta bench Missy. I gotta cut Kim. Damn.
No, I respect that order because I would have did the same.
Yeah.
If you say you were gonna cut Missy, we might have had a talk.
He said if you would have cut Missy, he was gonna cut you on Sunday.
You heard that car pull up a little earlier.
Like message for Suge.
Man. Hey, man, we definitely went overtime, but I knew we would.
The ladies are
man. Like I said, tonight was a celebration. Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, like I said, we could revisit this and add on. I just want to give a shout out to my girl Heather B. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We didn't talk about her, and a shout out to Apani B Fly, man. I messed with her back in the day, in the '90s, mixtape, DJ Clue, DJ Envy, Scene, and just it's so many female MCs. You know what I mean? We didn't get a chance to really talk about, but I just want to give props to those two.
Definitely.
Yeah. You got No Name. You got what is it? 3D Nate. I can't get her name out.
3D Nate, yeah.
You know, Azalea Banks when she's not, being Azalea Banks, Snow the Product. You know, some of the.
He said no.
Go away.
Yeah, there's a gang of female MCs that, like I said, this could be a part 2 easily.
Sure. Before we get out of here, I just want to remind everybody we are rocking on YouTube live next week, or I'm sorry, bi-weekly, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
So look for us, check for us. We're gonna, 2 weeks from now, and we appreciate all the love, man.
Definitely. And shout out to my mom too. Hopefully she didn't watch this full podcast because some of it's appropriate. But she for vegan lovers, I mean people who just try to eat healthier. Check out Nikki Rose on YouTube. She has the first episode on dill pickles, and trust me, I have my mind on pickles there. Mwah, magical. But you know, if you want to get your health, because health is wealth, definitely check her out. Subscribe to her page. I appreciate you and love you dearly.
All right, gentlemen.
So and my sister's getting married tomorrow, so shout out to Ophelia.
Woo! There you go. Congrats. All right, gentlemen, this was an awesome episode. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. I see we have a lot of comments on the Facebook for this one, so we're going to look at this after we go off the air in about 10 seconds. Again, for anybody, let them know, you know, this goes on YouTube. Look for us, Tres Leches Radio, YouTube, anything, Instagram, Twitter. You obviously know Facebook. Google us, you'll find us. And we got another one. Go ahead.
Before we get Left Eye from TLC.
Damn.
Gotta give Left Eye love, bro. She, you know, it's like Prodigy or Black Thought. She's in a group, so we forget about her.
Yeah.
But going too soon, yo, Left Eye from Philly. That was my wife. I just wasn't old enough to marry her. Shout out to Left Eye. Rising. I'm sorry, brother.
All right. Ladies, we love you. And on that note, Tres Leches out.